Hi. Oh, we're here. Are we or aren't we? I don't know.
We're here for real.
We're here somewhere.
See, look, I could come to your side of the thing and it's not it's actually the real shit.
Breakfast this morning, which I've been drinking breakfast lately, so I'm in a better mood. Maybe. We'll see.
I think so.
You're here in
three
town.
Coffees later and we're ready to do this. We're rocking liquid death.
Two coffees. Then I had a coffee in a can, a little espresso shot. It's like, we're fired up.
Yeah. I asked for water and had to wash down my 3 coffees and here's liquid death. Like, no way that gets
I actually love this stuff. We are not sponsored by them whatsoever, but
I don't even know who that is.
It keeps showing up. I'm pretty sure we're buying it, but it's fun. It's nice. Spicy water. That's what Evan calls sparkling water.
Yes.
Spicy water.
I got notes of spice.
My spicy water is when I put cayenne pepper and sriracha in my water.
A little Bloody Mary mix.
Yeah. No, just water, sriracha.
All right.
People may recognize you.
Yeah.
I mean, should
I do the face?
From a movie called Range 15. He was in there. You and Tool.
Yeah.
You and Tool were in there. You were in Not a War Story.
Yes, we were.
So you're in that. You've been in a lot of them.
Exactly.
And then for those of you that have been around for a long time and remember quite a few years ago, probably 2015.
Yeah.
We went to Las Vegas and flew around in this man's air. It's possibly it is 40. It was before.
Still a classic.
It was before Range 15 filmed.
Yes.
Yeah. We filmed that the summer before.
Yeah.
We went and used this man's airplanes to do a
story.
Inverted whiskey pour.
Yeah. Pepsi, that old school Pepsi commercial that came out before the last Top Gun has got nothing on that. Because they did Pepsi, which I don't actually even like.
And now we even have a cooler idea for this new Top Gun, but we'll get to that at the end of the show, where we're going. But right now, Mr. James Chef Barlow, hello. Cue the applause.
Thank you.
Make him think we have a fucking
studio
audience.
He's
studio audience.
clapping in a circle.
Like, you should think that there's like 40,000 people on the other side of this camera right now, and it's just you and I standing at a bar.
Yes.
Or sitting at a bar talking. How interesting that would be.
We might have done that before.
We might. But anyway, you are a retired A-10 pilot, fighter weapons school graduate, fighter weapons school instructor. Over 4 million pounds of ordnance dropped.
Somewhere in there.
Is that accurate?
Oh, I don't even know. It's more than one. All right, it's more than 500.
More than 500. Less than 4 million. 5 million.
Exactly.
We're somewhere in between there.
I get that sometimes. So how many? I had the distinct honor. Purely, any A-10 guy could have done this. They're all amazing. I just happen to be the guy who didn't get sick as much in Afghanistan.
That's not me. Someone's dinging. We're taking a dinging break real quick just so it doesn't do it the entire show. Don't worry. Hi, have you been to freerangeamerican.us? Because it's amazing for... Oh, there he is. All right.
Bastards. I was on airplane mode.
You see how we can recover
I was
that?
on airplane
but you're on
mode.
the internet.
But I'm on the internet.
You boomer. You know what?
I boomered it. I'm that guy.
But you're not supposed to be.
I know. Should I give you an officer speech now?
I have this argument, though, where I believe that fighter pilots, specifically attack pilots, A-10 drivers, should be perfectly allowed to text and drive. You've been texting and driving your entire career.
Totally true. Yeah, like literally, like I use this all the time. I can fly an A-10 with my knees. We put it on altitude hold. You fly with your knees. You get a frozen burrito up in the glare shield so that by the time the sun bakes it, your frozen burrito's ready. Oh, yeah. I can not spill my martini and still type in a 28.2 message to do a 9-line.
See? This is why.
Facts.
Forward air control airborne.
Yes. Yeah. So that shit happens. Yeah. We actually did that one night over.
That's what I mean. You are the only professional at texting and driving.
When you get out of the Air Force, you go to the FAA and say, hey, here's my MILCOM. Yeah. So, hey, you're an airline, transport,
put that
whatever.
Sticker on my driver's license.
And they just say, yes, you're qualified in everything. Yeah. You should go to the DMV with your A-10 Form 8 and say, hey, I flew A-10s and you get a get out of jail sticker so you don't get pulled over for texting and driving.
You know what I was thinking about too? And it literally was the A-10 cockpit that gave me the idea is I wish I could build a soft Bluetooth keyboard for your phone that mounted to your knee. So if you have your phone in your car that's on a mount like here, you can just do this. I don't even have to look. It's you're just so used to it.
And then you're in, and then you glance and you're like, what did I just see?
Yeah.
Yep. That's it.
You should just install MFDs in your car.
Yeah. From my system.
So A-10, I'm sure all the listeners out there, this is their favorite aircraft. They're all going to comment right below here that, there's no other aircraft out there that even matters. The F-35 is pretty much like a broken, stupid toy that you get from Kmart.
Yeah.
I have a lot of disdain for the F-35. I think it's stupid.
So here's where half of the Pentagon will log off, but that's okay.
You're probably like, I'm not going to speak
they
to
did
this
that in the 90s
because the Air Force employs my company. So the F-35
cool.
good.
No, I'm a cat. Well, I love the F-35 because that's why we're a business. So,
if maybe they could get their gun to work at some point.
yeah. But when I was the DO at Green Flag, that was the pre-deployment exercise for the Air Force. We'd have 9,000 troops come out on the ground.
Director of operations for those of you that aren't in the military.
Well, you're not guys.
Yeah.
So it's like an XO.
Yeah.
So we would have fighter squadrons come in, and it was awesome because in my position, I was able to actually fly with whatever airplane was on the ramp. So I flew the Brits GR4s. I flew F-18s with the Canadians. Fast. The GR4 was awesome. The GR4, I think, is like a Cadillac CTX.
Yep.
So
we're just getting that mic in on you.
So the GR4 is like a Cadillac CTX. It's cushy. It's
big.
Like you want to lean back in your seat when you fly a GR4.
But you also can go real low.
But you can go crazy low. I made a red circle. I supposedly killed 9 rabbits with a low flyby up in the Panamint MOA airspace. Statute of limitations is expired on
I wonder
that,
what the story is from the rabbits that survived that event. Like, what do they say?
Yeah.
Like,
I
they
didn't
probably
know rabbits would just die if they got too scared.
Wow.
So yeah, we were doing a scenario and I was FACing from a GR4. And when your wings move on an airplane, normally the next thing you do is eject. But the wings on the GR4 actually swept back.
That probably freaked you out the first time.
This is gonna be good.
Oh shit! What's going on back here?
This is gonna be good. I'm like, the fucking wings are moving. So they swept it back and we were gone at really low.
They scoot.
Yeah, they were scooting. So it was like you read about. And supposedly we killed 9 rabbits.
Let's rewind that back. You became an Air Force pilot, but before that, you were probably a teenager.
I was a teenage construction worker.
Oh wow!
Like
construction.
Yeah. So yeah. I was a roofer, which anyone in the construction world can go, oh, he was a roofer. So there's like finished carpenters, framing carpenters, and the roofer is the guy that drinks from the garden hose outside. So that's what I did in high school.
That's rough though. Just carrying the supplies to the
Baton
roof.
Rouge,
oh God, Baton Rouge.
And then slinging the sheets of plywood up.
That's a hard job.
Yeah, that was for real. When you feel like you're going to melt to the
construction, I'd want to be like the guy that just puts in the sink.
Yeah.
Not a lot of carrying.
Carpenter.
Yeah,
you're like.
Hey, I'm here to put your handles on your cabinets.
Yes.
I have my box.
I'm on break now. Yeah, the roofer is the lowest of the low. But that's fine because it was hard work while all of my other friends were doing cushy, like, oh, let me go be a waiter or a bartender or something. I was too hard-headed to figure that piece out. So I was a roofer.
Nice.
And then, So I did that, and I did it at Baton Rouge and in Florida. I had an academic scholarship to
And then
Florida
you
State.
saw the movie Iron Eagle.
I
and
did.
You knew, is this true?
No, okay. So there's a little bit of truth to that. So first I saw the movie Rad and wanted to be a bicycle shop owner, but then that wasn't a thing.
Didn't pan out.
Yeah,
a lot of sweeping involved.
I know, right? So then I went on to I saw Top Gun, that old cliche, but for real. So I was on my own in high school and moved in with my buddy and my cousin. And that's a whole long story, but the fact of the matter, I was kind of on my own as a high school student. So needing direction, my buddy's father was an F-16, F-4, 4 tours in Vietnam.
Wow.
Multiple distinguished flying cross kind of guy. The guy was a
back
baller.
when the Air Force gave awards out.
Back when the Air Force was,
actually
you could actually
awards.
rock the handlebar and do your thing. I used to keep a picture of Robin Olds up on my desk.
He's the best.
He was the
best
man.
mustache.
He was the man.
For those of you that don't know who Robin Olds is, we're gonna tangent real quick.
So is this a Google break? Google this?
Well, no. We're gonna tell the story real quick on his mission where he fucked with the transcoder, and remember he had
it was the call signs.
He was squawking F-86s or F-105s, but they really want to fly to F-4s.
Yes.
And they were waiting for
everybody.
Yeah, it was like 4 to 20, and they just took them all out.
Yeah,
okay, so in layman's terms,
he was the man. He's also the same guy who was called into the wing commander's office because his mustache, even back in the day, was crazy handlebar out of regs. And the wing commander calls him in and says, "Hey, I want to talk about mustaches." And Robin Olds looks at him and says, "Yours looks fine," and walks out. My man.
That's what you could do when you just wipe it. So this story is Robin, I believe like he was told he couldn't do this mission or something like that. And he did it anyway. And what did he do? Did he change the transcode squawks or did he?
So they went out in the ATO as you know, so you got your air to ground air in simplest terms, you got your air, let's say it's modern day. So you got your A-10s and your F-22s, you got your flight schedule, and everyone wants to come in and try to mess with the A-10, which you can do, but it's like making love to a porcupine. You got to do it exactly right or you're going to get
punked. Well, and then we had spies and stuff. So we knew.
And then you've got your F-22s that just roll in and smoke everybody. So it's like today, the A-10s flying with F-22 call signs and the F-22s flying with A-10 call signs, and people rolling out thinking,
so the enemy launched all their fighter intercepts, which were what, MiG-21s at the time? Or
21s.
Yeah, so they launched on F-4s.
Yes, and they got smoked. Love it.
It was amazing.
Love it.
He doesn't get enough respect, I don't think.
Yeah. We should have patches. What would Robin do? Matter of fact, we had him for a while.
It's just like, that's the thing. Like as a wing commander, though, I wouldn't fuck with that guy. I'd be like, wait, you did? Oh yeah, you know what? You just go do you. Yeah. We're fine with it. You're winning the war.
Robin Olds spoke at my flight school graduation.
Whoa!
Now this is actually an A-10 Blue Air book story, but this is we could cut this one and call it the Robin Olds story, and then make a whole nother episode. But Robin Olds actually spoke at my flight school graduation. 30 seconds into the actual speech, he took his tie off. He puts his cocktail up there. Because what are you going to say? It's Robin Olds. And we were singing fighter pilot songs in the middle of the Oak Club bar the way it ought to be. So
that's amazing. Awesome. Okay. So how do you go from construction to fighter pilot?
Oh, God. So it's a funny story. And we this is all in the book, and this started.
Well, we haven't even said the book yet.
Yeah, well,
we have to. He's got a book. We'll get there once you leave the military.
But to save the pipeline on that is really so. I was this dirty kid that never wore shoes and was roofing and all that jazz, and my best friend's father's call sign was Mugger. Brought me on base at MacDill to take a tour of the F-16 simulator and whatnot. And I was all ready and I had read the manual and we walk in there and I was flying the F-16 simulator as a 14-year-old kid.
It sounds like Iron Eagle.
Dude, I swear, except for the Walkman tape deck on there. Yeah. So I'm flying the F-16 sim and then all of a sudden my buddy kicks my ass. I'm like, well, I was mad. I was like, hey, you've been sandbagging me. I get out. It's one of the Thunderbirds. So he said, hey, you're actually not bad at this. Like you're clearly a kid, but you have an air sense of which way is up or down.
I mean, just
of handling the aircraft.
Like having the sim here and putting a lot of people down in it. Because when it's out, like it's so visual. People are like,
have to get in.
What is this?
Like,
Let me try this.
I must touch
but
that.
To see how many grown adults do not understand the pitch and pull or anything like that, like let alone kids. Like, that geometry isn't, I guess, natural for people.
It's natural. Humans were supposed to walk around on the ground and not fly upside down scoring bombs, which is awesome. So anyway, that very air show, I went outside and I was hanging on an A-10 and took a picture hanging on the gun of an A-10 like this. And I later went on to fly that very airplane. And I decided that day, and I called the recruiter and said, hey, I want to be a fighter pilot. And when she was done laughing, she said, all right, first, play sports, get good grades. You need straight A's, go to college, do ROTC, get picked up for flight school, be the best in your flight school class, and then select a fighter. And I'm like, okay.
Steps are easy.
I'll do that. Sounds good. Call you in 15 years. And that's what I did.
Yeah.
And I was always too hard-headed to diverge from my path. And there were several pivots.
So yeah, let's go to flight school. Because, and you are in what place at that time when they come down and say, okay, choose your platforms?
Oh man. So the way they do that is crazy. And it totally messes with you. Like, it's a lot of fun for everyone else. But for the guy or gal,
that's your future.
Hey, here's your future. Oh, pick a hand. It's kind of like that because everything you do is graded. So I actually went to go be a contracting officer because I went to school, got a business degree at FSU. And then they're like, oh, sorry, it's 1992. We don't have any flying jobs. Thank you for your participation. Go sit in that cubicle. So I hated being a contracting officer. Now, as a founder of a defense contractor, that seemed to have worked out. It seemed to have worked out. Because when we're doing things, I'm like, I've been to your school and here's the part where you this and then that and then the FAR and we're good. So, which actually helps because we're all on a team with the government and us. And like, I know your requirements, I know what you need and let's work this together. So at the time I hated it though, because my cubicle was right above the flight line. So it would literally rattle like when the F-15s at Elmendorf would take off and I'd be like, hey.
They're like, hey, did you get a cover sheet on that report, chef?
Yeah, hey, have you bought socks? I actually bought construction projects because they're like, oh, you've done construction, buy construction. So, but then I applied on active duty. After 5.5 times of applying on active duty from contracting, I got picked up. So and then, everybody,
so what does it do there? It's just you go to flight school
for all those people who like you meet people and they're like, oh, well, I would have been a fighter pilot, except, I went, bullshit. There, you have more chance of playing in the NFL than you have being a fighter pilot. So,
well, this is an argument I had, or a point I brought up to the current SEAC when I was at the Pentagon a couple months ago, is I was pointing out because he's a PJ, CZ. Yeah. I was like, hey, you guys need to go back and look at the inter-service recruiting programs because I don't feel like you give them enough. There's not enough weight and respect from someone that put in their time in a shit job that they didn't want, that decided, okay, well, I'm going to do
it anyway. Because,
but
exactly,
I would like the opportunity. Yeah. I see too many people skipped over. I mean, this was an argument I saw. It was about 10 years ago. Even Air Force Academy and ROTC, our inter-service guys should have first chalk first, rather than kids off the street. If you paid your fucking dues to the country and you took a job you didn't want for the opportunity to eventually move into the position you want, you should have a say over an ROTC cadet or even a fucking Air Force Academy person. Yeah. You paid the price.
Yeah. And and even because the world doesn't care about you, but even so, you're a known entity. Like they've already got 3 years of track record on you.
Yes.
Versus some kid off the street.
Exactly. And but my point is, why would you even consider an ROTC kid off the street having a first chance slot before somebody in service? That's just absurd.
Like, I don't know if
it shows you have no pride. Again, it's my complaint with the military has always been they instill these 3 core values into us going throughout our time serving, but they never push those core values back.
Yeah.
You'd never get them back. It's never excellence in all we do. It's never service before self from the service.
Yeah. Well, you've heard, like, we protect democracy. We don't actually practice it. So I showed up at flight school with the...
Here in Randolph?
At Shepherd.
Oh, Shepherd.
Sorry, not in Shepherd. I later was an instructor at Shepherd at Laughlin in Del Rio.
Okay.
Yeah, so I show up to Del Rio and it's the active duty class. So every other class has 26 lieutenants that are bumping in the wall, second lieutenants, their ranks on wrong or whatever. I showed up and it's
you captain?
I was a first lieutenant.
Okay.
Yeah, I just put on first lieutenant. I was actually moonlighting as a bush pilot in Alaska, taking hunters in. which was awesome.
Fuck it.
With like a caribou rack taped to the one spar and a ATV gun rack on the other. It was awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I showed up and it's 16 captains of the 28 students. So 16 of them are captains. 3 dudes already had combat time, Strike Eagle guys. And I'm like, oh my God.
Oh, they're trying to get front seat.
Yes,
so they're going to front seat.
Yes.
What combat were they in?
They were backseat. I don't probably the Northern Watch stuff.
What
Southern
wars
Watch
was
stuff.
going on other than the invasion of Panama? And
More than in the bush plane of flying a hunter down the Kenai Peninsula. I can tell you that. They knew what an AFI was and all that stuff. And I was like, So
you have your pilot's license though.
I have a pilot's license.
Understand
I'm already a
airspace.
bush pilot and Alaska airspace. So just don't blast over the top of Anchorage and you're good.
All right.
So yeah, but I had an air sense, but I wasn't as well as educated by a fraction. And then it was everything for a year. And it's still like that to this day. Everything you do is graded. And for example, you've got a quiz, a stand-up, an exam, an academic test every single day for a year. And the top guy in our class had a 100%. He had not missed a single question in 1 year. And the bottom guy in the class had a 98.2 academic average. Yeah. So
it is competitive.
Yes. Yes. So, but anyway.
Where were you at in the mix there?
I was number 3.
Oh.
Yeah.
So then did you get a pick?
So I got to track fighters. So you get 5 of us track fighters and the rest, the other 23 people in the class track heavies.
Who gets helicopters?
Come on now.
What?
I'm
just curious. Like, is helicopters the bottom? Like, is it like, ooh, heavies?
Statistics. So I love my Hilo brothers. Statistically, you'll either get a guy who, hey, I'm a rotor head. I want to fly helicopters. And those guys, and it's like saying, hey, who's the worst guy? Who's the worst guy in the Pro Bowl? Like, guy's still in the Pro Bowl.
If I didn't get a fighter, I would take a rotor over a heavy.
Right.
All day long.
A lot of people do that.
Rescue?
A lot of people do that. A lot of people do that. Yeah, they understand the mission. They want to do that. So those guys do that. But in a lot of classes also, it's okay. I'll take this. I'll take that. And the bottom couple guys will normally end up with like a helicopter. So
I would be happy with that.
No,
I'll take the bottom.
Yeah. I've seen classes where the top 4 or 5 guys get a helicopter because that guy wants a helicopter.
All right, so where's fighter school, Luke?
So you go to it's still at you fighter track.
Oh,
and then that's ranked again, and then they rack you again, and then we were even doing extra maneuvers like I can fit an aileron roll in here and get an extra grade for some extra points, and they rack everybody. And after this entire year, they bring everyone in the officers club. And there's a slideshow presentation. And they bring you up there and they're like, and you got a, and then they'll put something weird on there and they'll put a picture of Dumbo and no, really, you got slide. And mine was an A-10.
Oh,
which was awesome because being a former bush pilot, I wanted something to
there's 26 of you in a room.
28 and the entire officers club.
Yeah.
And there are dudes that get divorced. No, 2 guys didn't get fighters that tracked fighters. Because they planned for attrition. So 3 of us got fighters.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So the number 1 guy got an F-16 because he was a former Strike Eagle guy. Yeah. The number 2 guy got an F-15C. He was a former C-130 guy. And the number 3 guy got an A-10, which was the best luck and decision and everything. And it actually worked out because that's what each of us put first. So I wanted air to ground, single seat, low flying. 2
so they make you
like that.
So they make
like
you request
dream sheet
capabilities, not aircraft.
No. You request aircraft, but that's why I picked that aircraft. Yeah, you put it up on your dream sheet. But there's guys that get, hey, you're getting this to wherever, and people get divorces that next week. It's happened.
Really?
Yes. That's called drop night, and everyone's cheering or whatever. And wives will be crying or they'll be cheering.
Oh, wives are to this?
Wives, like the whole officers club.
Oh, God.
Everybody on the planet is there and it's packed and there's cheering. And then and you can see some people's dreams just flash before their face. So you get some people that it's the best day of their lives.
Lieutenant Spinelli, you have a C5 at Lackland Air Force Base. Yes. And he's just like looking like this.
Hey, but you get San Antonio. So normally it's a very happy day and you kind of have a clue. You're like, those guys are pretty good. Maybe that. So, but yeah, it's happened where drop night divorces are filed.
Damn.
Yeah.
We need to look into this. This sounds interesting.
It's a thing.
Or funny. Crazy. Cool. So where's A-10 school?
A-10 school's in Tucson.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So you show up to A-10 school and your first flight solo.
After that night?
No, not after that night.
Okay.
There's a little bit of, so you go to Randolph, you get fighter fundamentals, which is another weed out where you start doing some air-to-air stuff.
Are those T6s or T38s?
No, they're AT-38s.
Okay.
So you'll go there for, 6 months and you'll do that. And then you show up to A-10 school. So you're already a pilot. You've already flown tactically in training. And then you start A-10 school. And for me, back when I did it in 98, 99, there was no simulator yet. So you read the books and kicked it old school and showed up. You're like, yeah, and the airplane and
you
the
didn't play A-10 Warthog?
Dude, the trainer was a cockpit that had dials on it. And you said, and then I would start the APU and you reached over and moved the dial and it would be in this limit, which was actually harder. Because if you do it in the sim and you start it right, you're like, see, right there. But, and it's either in the red or it's whatever, but you actually had to quote the numbers and whatnot. But now there's a sim and all that, but you read the book for 2 weeks, you hopped in the airplane and your first flight solo and it still is even till to this day.
Wow.
Yeah. So you take off solo and for me, thinking about that kid who was a 14-year-old hanging on the top of the A-10 gun and taking off, solo, your instructor literally hangs over the rail on your ladder and he goes, okay, start it up. And he's on a Y cord and crew chief and you do all your stuff. And he goes, all right, see you on the radio. And you're sitting there, you're like, oh shit.
Canopy.
Like this time when I hit that switch, there was actually noise. So you're taking it all in. Okay, fine. And you taxi out and you take off and your instructor flies a chase takeoff, but it's so close that his gauges read the same as you.
Oh, okay.
So you tuck in and because I did that near the end of my career as an FTU instructor, and literally as the guy's turning into the pattern, you're so close to him that your instruments are the same as his. And you're like, yep. Oh, you're a little high on this. Your airspeed was 5 knots. And as a student, you're thinking, are you serious? Can you really? And what's crazy is the first time you strafe, you're actually riding down the chute with the guy so close that you can feel the vibration of the gun as he shoots it on your aircraft as you chase them through the dive.
So did you have that moment though? That first flight, you close the canopy. You're like, wow, I'm in it.
I did.
Oh shit!
The moment for me, like, because my body moved and my brain was still there. Like, holy shit. So my body moved and then my brain finally caught up as we were just after takeoff roll. And I remember looking over and I saw the city of Tucson and I saw my instructor kind of on the side of me. And I thought, wait a minute, because I had a captive AIM-9 missile on the left side. Yeah. And I thought, take the left. So he moved over to the left and I'm like, now it's perfect. And to this day, I could close my eyes and draw that scene because it was like, yes.
Oh, well then where did you get stationed first out of there?
Yeah. So that's a great question.
There's only a few of them.
Yeah, I know.
74, 75th at Pope.
Yeah. So
down in Moody.
So I stayed at the Bulldogs in Tucson. And so I moved down the street from the FTU to the actual operational squadrons, from training squadron to the op squadron. And then I went and that was great. You do your upgrades and all that other stuff. And then I became a single dad with a 1 and a 3-year-old. So my wife at the time, I got officer and a gentleman with the girl I was dating in Alaska. She was a news anchor and I said, hey, it's been great, but I'm going to flight school. And a couple of weeks later, because it wasn't a, hey, I hate you. It's, hey, I'm going my way. Yeah. A couple of weeks later is, oh, I think I'm pregnant. So this 23-year-old kid, So she actually called me and said, so the courthouse closes in 30 minutes. Are you meeting me there or not? And I went in and I paid the fine and I get the receipt and the guy says, congratulations. And I asked him for what? And he said, well, you just got married. You're like, oh, So that's how that went. And, but she ended up being an alcoholic, lost full custody. So now I'm a A-10 fighter pilot with 100% full custody of 2 boys, ages 1 and 3, both in diapers.
Wow.
So yeah. So the Air Force was good enough to ask me, what do you want to do? Pick any job, any location. I should have gone back to CENTCOM in Tampa, which is my hometown, and had all the support there. But I picked T-38s at NJEP, and I went and flew 38s.
Nice. And then when was your first combat tour?
See, that was actually a thing because right in then was as Afghanistan had just kicked off in 01. I was in the squadron. The divorce had started, and everyone's going off and doing the JOB, and I'm sitting here with 2 babies. Like, so then I get to NJEP, and what's everyone ask? Oh, how was combat?
You're like, mount that. Let's moving on.
These stories and
page 35,
and it's a thing because I'm also late rated, so I'm knocking on the door at major, and I'm kind of long in my career where I should have done more operational A-10 stuff. So that was a chip for me. Yeah. It was a thing. But I got the kids school age, and then went back to the A-10. And that's when I finally deployed. And
where was that? When was that?
So that was rolling into 06.
Okay.
By this time. So
you guys went to Afghanistan?
The kids got school age, and it was right at as 07 was starting. A-10s have been there forever. And the powers that be said, hey, we're going to give the A-10s a break. Oh. So no more A-10 deployments. We're going to do F-15s and Vipers. And I'm like, you've got to be shitting me.
Oh, mother.
There's no way I'm going to spend a career in the A-10 and the only thing I drop in anger is my gear. But 2 weeks of that, and the Army commanding general said, no, I need the hogs back. So we got a 6-day notice to pack your bags and go. And we stayed for almost an entire year.
What's the flight like? How many times you got to refuel?
So it was 35. I've actually asked and answered this a couple times, so I know that off the top of my head. So it's 35 total flight hours going east in an A-10, and it's 15 air refuelings. So you'll do like 3 air refuelings worth in a day. So we went from Tucson to Massachusetts to the Azores. No, we went to the Azores, okay. And then Azores to Sicily, and then Sicily on into Al-Udeid, and then Al-Udeid up.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a long time. Just sitting by yourself.
In the A-10,
what do you do?
Yeah, so in the A-10,
you're not going fast.
No, you go, I'm going faster than your car. So,
I don't know. That might be.
It is pretty fast.
Not the Subaru.
No. So what you do is everyone just throws, so you've got a cell of 6 on a tanker. And everyone just goes max power, and you just park it. Like really, the A-10 could be a switch, not a throttle. You just go fly, taxi.
Yeah.
But so you put it in full fly, and you see who the slowest guy is. So you start to spread out and like, all right, your airplane's the slowest one in the group. So you leave yours in max, and then we'll take off like 3 knots from that. Yeah. And that's the speed we'll fly all the way around the world. Yeah. And that's how you figure out how you're going to go. But you'll do like battleship, or you'll do, maybe the boomer's cool on the tanker, which my son's actually a boomer now. So you'll read like he'll read Trivial Pursuit over the boom mic. Or one time we're way over the ocean. I look out, number 6 is like a dot, like 6, say status. And he was reading the newspaper with autopilot on. So he's like, oh yeah.
Oh, whoops.
So yeah. So that's, you make your time, and but yeah, you're strapped in, and you've got this exposure suit with this jaws of death zipper, and you're all just in your jet just for like 7 hours, 8 hours at a time. 9.5 was my longest. At passing the 7-hour mark, your legs get a little bit numb. But
I bet. Oh yeah. God. And so how was that deployment?
It was great.
Yeah. What do we got? What kind of juicy things we got over there?
Yeah. So
some GBU-12 action, some GBU-38 action. It was
everything action. So you
GBU-39.
You show up and you're like, okay, where's the missile coming from? And all the operators, everyone who's been there gets it. And as a veteran community, we get it. Because for 2 weeks on station, and we went to support 1972s and cast requests, but you show up and there's the presence of the A-10 and nothing happens. You go home for about 2 weeks, and then things kicked off. So that day we had a JTAC who actually His driver was shot.
Lape. I think it was Lape.
Was it?
Yeah, and DSCs.
Mm.
Yeah, because the Romad took over for the control.
No, different one.
Okay.
Down in Sangan Valley.
I'd have to look.
Yeah, What's odd is we emailed, but we always used call signs and we never said each other's names.
Okay.
So
I mean, it sounds like it could have been Lape and DSCs.
So it was the driver got shot and the JTAC hops out. He gets shot, but his backpack radio took the bullet and now he's on his embedder.
Okay.
And he's under the Jeep calling in air and at the same time a British troop gets pinned down. So I'm first time in combat. I've got my wingman and they take the, new guys, not again, worst guy in the Pro Bowl. They're like, all right, you're the newest wingman, most experienced flight lead. And they pair you up like that. So you get wingman like Shu, stupidest human on earth. I mean, he's a great dude. Like, and he's actually awesome. He was just new to the jet at the time and he's a big dude. So that's how call signs go. So anyway, they're like, hey, split to 2 simultaneous ticks. So that wasn't a thing.
This is when you used to be able to do that. They always get mad at us about that.
Yeah, that wasn't a thing.
Can I split you guys?
No, that wasn't a thing. You never leave your wingman. That was the thing. That's what we'd always practice. And we're cruising out and there's 2 simultaneous ticks where it's for real.
Yeah.
So I put one on one radio. I put one on the other radio. We showed up at the first tick.
How are we looking up there, Sergeant Best? On target, on time, boys! Fire forward, flip! Here we go! Set! You heard him! Fire forward, flip!
And fighting stopped for a second. So I put Shu overhead, let him just show presence. So I went to the other tick solo and I roll in there and I've got the 9 line and you can hear the gunfire on the radio.
What's your loadout?
I had Mark 82 airburst, old school, like that's old world craftsmanship.
That is great.
Yeah. So it blows up at 500-pound bomb, blows up 35 feet above the ground so you don't waste any blaster frag.
No.
It's awesome.
You're not wasting any.
So GBU-12s, 2 pods of rockets and 1,174 rounds of 30 Mike.
All right, get us in there.
So I get there, 9 line, whatever, sniper on a hill. Okay, fine. And so this is like right now we need it because they're in a wadi and they're getting flanked. They're not there yet, but they know it's happening and they need the sniper to get killed and so they can bug out. So I said, all right, a dude in a field with a bunch of bushes and stuff. I'm pretty sure that's the spot. He doesn't have his BDL. We're kicking it old school because he's busy getting shot at. So does the talk on, okay, fine. I'm going to roll in. I'm going to put down 2 Willie Pete's. I'm going to wait about that long. And which seems like an eternity, but our weapons deliveries are calculated for 3 seconds.
Yeah.
So you're on final, rocket, and then you shoot or you come off.
Yeah.
So I shot the 2 rockets, waited what seemed like an eternity, was probably like a millisecond. And then I put down about 400 rounds of 30 mil on that hill. And the whole thing in the pod just lit up because it was it was all HEI.
Yeah.
The whole thing just lit up. The field's on fire. The thing explodes. And I'm pulling off and I'm moving and I'm looking out for any surface-to-air missiles or any of those things that they're like, oh, where are you looking for your missiles? Where are you looking for this? So I'm like moving and jinking and I'm coming back around and the guy starts screaming Delta Hotel. And you're a JTAC. So remember abort code, abort code established, base code would be, let's say chef.
Yeah.
So Charlie Hotel, and then I'd say Echo, and that's the abort. So that way, no one's spoofing you.
Yeah.
So he's yelling, Delta Hotel, Delta Hotel. And I had that moment of, oh my God.
Yeah.
That wasn't the right spot.
It didn't click right away. Wait, aborts aren't two digits?
But he was just screaming Delta Hotel. So I pulled around and my stomach's doing blah, blah, blah. What's the matter? Direct hit,
like,
Delta Hotel.
God,
like,
stop that.
Can we not do that?
Yeah, can we say tally?
Can we not do
like
that?
the book says?
So I put down about 840 rounds of 30 mil on there and a couple rockets, and that dude was done. They bugged out, and it was, and they're good. And then I went back to the other tick, which I'm listening to at the same time on the radio. So I'm doing two at the same time. That's starting to heat back up. And then I was gone. And it was minutes this took, but it felt like, when you're in a fist fight and you're like, and it was, that was like 90 seconds. Or, it's like
hey guys, you showing up yet or what?
If you boxed and you're like, man, 3 rounds, that's nothing. Go box 3 rounds.
Yeah.
Yeah. It feels like 6 hours. So I'm cruising back and I've got my sensor in there. We're doing lasers. Okay, fine. Yep, that's it. Yep, that's it. Yep, that's it. Okay, everything's cool. And I'm going as fast as the A-10 will carry me to get back to this fight. So, shoes on a good base position. We're going to do Mark 82 airburst. The JTAC's happy with it. The things are getting ready to heat up. They know through intel means that the fight's getting ready to re-engage. And so I said, all right, Shoe, I'm not there yet, but I'm laser spot, search, track. Yep, we're there. That's what he's talking about. And so he rolls in and he had copied the wrong steer point. He'd copied his target coordinates from Bagram, which was 3,000 feet higher than the actual target he was hitting with a manually delivered Mark 82 airburst. So it dropped.
That's going to come a lot of short.
It dropped way short. And now everyone's running. Everybody lights up. And we're starting to get, JTAC units 500 meters west, 200 meters west. And we're just shooting. We're shooting through this field because that was supposedly the command element of the enemy force. And we're trying to see a guy running through essentially a cornfield from above.
Yeah.
So, so anyway, as luck would have it, he ran out the far corner. Him and the 2 dudes he was with ran out the far corner into a building that had no roof on it. So just 4 walls.
You could just see him hanging out.
And the JTAC saw him before I saw him. Like we saw dots come out of the field and then that was it. And he said, hey, it's the 3rd building from the right. So I rolled in to do another Mark 82 airburst and that bomb went off as I'm pulling off. You could see it in the debrief. It detonated right above that building and all 4 walls fell down in every direction. So we went off to clean off.
Do not pass go.
Yes, Dunsky. But now everyone's already got the shoot call. So they're fighting it out for the rest of the night. F-16s came in. Hornets off the boat came in. It was the Dutch F-16s. Hornets off the boat. It got dark. They cleaned off 3 C-130s. And when I woke up the next day, that thing was on CNN. So that was the one opportunity in my career that I actually had to strafe a boat. But I was already out of ammo. Like the first time you clean, so most fighters have 5 seconds of gun, 5 seconds, which is a long time,
when you're firing 6,000 rounds a minute.
Yeah. Yeah. So the A-10's got 30 seconds of gun. So
that's delicious.
So with 30 seconds of gun, you don't just go out and clean off guns in training. So the first time you actually are pulling the trigger in real life and it's empty and it just goes, you're
like,
there's this little moment like, oh shit, it's for real today.
I'm out.
It's for real today. So there's rockets and then you look back in the golf cart and you're like, all right, we'll get the 9-iron. We'll do the wood, the 3
Let's fire the A9. Hang on. Let me see if I could get this
what
thing
can I
to
do?
roll off.
And then you're clean. So we backed a couple, controlled some of the other guys and then we bugged out. And on the way home, you get, your first few times you get the adrenaline shakes.
Yeah.
You're just flying, and then you're just flying. It was the quietest flight home. We did our report. And we're like, oh my God. So you get a little bit of adrenaline shakes.
Every day of this, huh?
Yeah. So anyway, after a couple weeks of that, and we actually had an amazing deployment. We did a ton of good work. The unit, the 354th Bulldogs, we fired over 150,000 rounds of 30 millimeter. And I don't even remember the bombs. And we had almost 900 confirmed KIA. I had the humble honor of being the first, per the historian, being the first Air Force fighter pilot since Vietnam to fly 100 combat missions in a single tour.
Oh, wow.
And then I had 117 confirmed K personally that year.
Okay, so then now we have to get your opinion on the argument on the internet right now. Is it the JTACs kill or the pilot kill?
It's the team's kill.
I've always said it's pilot's kill. I put it like this. I go, hey, if I see a bad guy over there and you shoot, I go, hey, he's over there and you shoot him. Whose kill is that?
Yeah,
okay, that's what I'm doing. Hey, he's over there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That is the thing.
I'm on the wrong side of that. People disagree with me.
No, I agree. So because it's an argument like the maintainers and weapons dudes, and my son's a weapons dude. My youngest son, Trent, is in Fort Worth as a weapons an ammo troop. And you'd come back and they'd say, oh, my jet dropped. Well, if your jet dropped, I would impound it. Like if the bombs just came off, then I would impound this aircraft and we got to see what the maintenance problem is. So it's a team to get it done because I don't know how to load a big bomb. But the guy pulling the trigger, whether they're in the air or on the ground, is whose kill it is.
It's funny because Tim Pachesa, he talks about how when he was the command chief at AMC, he was like, he had to tell everybody, if you were more than 2 people removed,
it's not your kill.
From the battle situation, you're not putting it on an award.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not, I fed the guys that went and loaded the bombs that then went and dropped.
That's fair. That is fair. Yeah. It takes the entire team, but at the end of the day, whomever is pulling the trigger on the ground or in the air, they're the ones that have to deal with the ghosts,
Yeah.
So, not to be that guy, but that's the real thing. Yeah.
Because we just don't care.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
That is true.
So when did you go to fighter weapons school? By the way, that's Top Gun in the Air Force. Like Top Gun in the Navy is the cool, the best fighter pilot thing. And then in the Air Force, it's just called fighter weapons school.
Yeah.
I don't know why they didn't give it a cool nickname.
I will say, so weapons school. Yeah. So it's weapons school now. It used to be fighter weapons school. And now you got everybody's weapons school.
Yeah, now
I'm staying off of it.
They're letting cargo pilots go to weapons school.
So
they got to have a patch too, Shav.
You got to be the expert in your field.
Everybody needs a patch.
I did like to kick it old school. So anyway, So I was supposed to be a student at fighter weapons school. At the same time, I got my divorce. So amazing A-10 pilots, Rage Donnelly, Ox Rushoff, those guys, those were my peers. I was supposed to be in those classes, and that was the game plan. The world took another vote. I went and flew T-38s, came back. So I actually flew with the fighter weapons school, which in the Air Force is 6 months. In the Navy, it's 6 weeks. So
Top Gun is only 6 weeks?
Top Gun in the Navy is 6 weeks.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's half a year in the Air Force. Like,
right?
You gotta actually be good. Typical Navy, just you're all right.
Yeah. So
check out.
So the Top Gun. so the Air Force has a Top Gun trophy. So but what that is, the Top Gun trophy is there'll be Top Gun events at every fighter squadron every half of the year, and then everything's graded. And your weapons officer will grade all of that, and then it'll be, hey, this is the best shot in the squadron at strafe or bomb or 45 high altitude dive bomb or whatever the events might be. And there'll be 6 different events. So, and then the best guy and the most things at the end of 6 months gets the Top Gun trophy. So I do have 2 of those back to back.
Ooh.
Just saying, gotta set that stuff right.
And you got that patch.
And I got but I flew with the weapons school when I was at Green Flag, because I was an instructor in the A-10. I was experienced in the A-10. And they respected that. So I would fly with the weapons school, but I never actually was a weapons school graduate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
what did you retire as far as hours?
God. So I stopped counting hours at 5,000, which was...
Because that's the last... No, 10,000. They have a patch for 10,000, don't they? But those are more for cargo people, aren't they?
Yeah. I think there's somebody who's getting ready to be a 10,000 hour A-10 guy, but I... Like that's a big... Normally,
that's a lot of fuel.
Yeah, normally you'll...
It's a lot of money.
There are guys that retire with 1,500 hours in a fighter. So
see how much it costs to run an A-10 for an hour.
$17,000.
$17,000. 10,000 hours.
This is my standard Blue Air training pitch. So the A-10 is the cheapest
$17 million
aircraft. aircraft in the fleet, and it's 17,000 and some light change. F-16's 30 grand, and the F-35, your favorite, is $68,000 per hour to fly, which is why we're a company.
$17,000, 10,000 hours. What is it, 17 million? $170 million
Yeah.
for that pilot?
Yeah.
We should get him some security.
Right? Like, so
He's worth more than fucking Lady Gaga.
I have often said, like, I don't want, what they pay you as a Air Force pilot. Like, give me a commission.
Yeah.
How about that? Come up with some commission schedule, and then
$170 million.
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
Yeah. So I never looked at it. I never looked that up. But
that's wild.
Yeah. Right. I want to know. But that's the thing, and that's why contract cast became a thing.
Well, that's what you got to talk about. You got out and started a business. What is it?
So I actually started while I was still on active duty.
Good. So did I.
Yeah. Right. Holler. So so you get all those things you do in the Air Force, and specifically with flying fighters, the thing has always been, you put your tray, because even though you're a badass fighter pilot, you're still a government. So you've got your tray on the cafeteria line of the Air Force, and for your entire life, you get your potatoes and your Salisbury steak, and you do your job, and then you get to the end, and you're like, oh well, and you pick up your tray and you move it to the airlines, and whereas you used to like take off, do all this amazing stuff, and then you land, well, you cut that all out, and you go to the airlines, and you take off and land, and you just drink coffee and eat
bus,
have a polyester suit,
glorified bus
and
driver.
have to deal with it, and I knew I couldn't do that. So, but even more importantly, my master's thesis while I was in Afghanistan was where all the JTAC, because I was having to control my own airstrikes in a lot of fights. I got in 56 troops and contacts that year, and probably 9 of them, I was the forward air controller. Now, I wasn't tasked as a forward air controller, but I took, that's why they put your wings on in Velcro. So I put my wings on the table and said, hey, these guys need it. And it's your ass. So I took responsibility for the airstrikes on several ticks. And I wanted to do the research on why there were no JTACs in the field, and they were brigade pooled because there was a bottleneck in training due to lack of air support.
Mm-hmm.
So I proposed that to the Air Force as an active duty Air Force officer in 2008 when I got back, and said, hey, I was a contracting officer. I know, just like Warthogs, you put something up on FedBiz Ops, and some company will figure out how to do this.
Blossom.
Yeah, industry will figure out anything you need. So I did that for. I proposed it in 2008. The Air Force said, no, we'll never need this. And it was for political reasons. You can't admit that you need to pay an Air Force to be the Air Force.
I hate this ego.
Because then how are we going to get funding? And ACC was actually, the guy I was talking to at ACC was actually full up with it, in a sense. He was saying, hey, like, it's a great idea. We just can't admit as a force that you can contract out what we do, because that's a slippery slope. We can't risk even one flight hour.
Wow.
So I was like, well, and I just, I'm a double business kind of guy, and business degree, master's business degree. And then I was a contracting officer. So I was like, well, I've already done the work.
Yeah.
I'll start the business myself. With my wife, Gretchen, and I had just bought an airplane and for ourselves. So we'll make it a business, and we'll have some tax write-offs, and it'll be fine. But then by the time I moved to Green Flag in 2009, I was spending $3.2 million for a 2-week exercise to train 19 JTACs. And the JTACs weren't happy. The fighter pilots weren't happy. The training objectives didn't match. And it was a thing.
It's always just an excuse or a forethought.
Yeah. So it was a thing. I literally had one fighter fake a generator failure to stop talking to the JTAC, because the JTAC was that bad, go up into the MOA and play the JTAC on his own radio for his wingman. so that highlighted this needs to happen. So it went up to General Hoss Hyatt, 2-star Warfare Center commander, amazing man, and he approved it, because legally it was no different than NCO or staff sergeant delivering pizzas on the weekend or doing a side job.
Yeah.
So he approved it. And so I actually founded the company in 2008, but really reincorporated in 2011 and got after it.
The reason why JTACs were so bad is because we were not putting priority on being good controllers.
Right.
They were too busy, too many fucking shit. Squadron commanders had all of our guys doing stupid ass army exercises, all this other bullshit that was not controlling.
Right.
Like, we made this stupid decision back in the 80s that said, oh, all our TACPs and our JTACs need to be on army bases. No, they need to be on fucking impact areas.
Yeah.
Do we want good controllers? Because guess
true.
what? We can be taught how to integrate.
Yes.
We don't have to live with them. Put us on a freaking bombing range and give us cheap aircraft to practice with every week, like A-29s, which we're just now figuring out. Like we were so fucking stupid for 25 years, like just dumb. Like for the price of 5 F-16s, we could have had a single A-29 with rockets and guns overhead of every like foot patrol ever done in Afghanistan.
Yes.
Which would have saved lives, which would have saved us money. But why don't we do that? Because fucking GOs have egos and they're fucking bullshit.
Yep. Yeah. So I was happy to take my retirement as soon as I could get it. I retired in 14 and started the company in 08, but really got after it in 11.
And I met you like late 14.
Yeah, exactly. You know, when there's like 3 men in a fighter truck. So, but yeah, so we were doing that and doing every job and it wasn't a thing. And then since I was still an active duty Air Force officer, my approval was, hey, you can work for anyone but the Air Force, which is tough because most of the JTACs are in the Air Force, but
the Navy and the Army have some too.
So Army Special Forces, the Special Forces group was the first folks that we worked with, and the first contract bomb ever dropped in the history of the U.S. Air Force was on Gila Bend Range in September 13 in support of the Army. So yeah, we dropped the bomb and it went up to the Pentagon. It went all the way to the Pentagon to get the approval to do it. And day in, day out, we were sitting there. We're like, can we do it? Can we do it? And no, not today. Not today. Well, the exercise, which was 3 months away, was all of a sudden today and Monday. Sorry, no. You can fly dry. Sorry, no. Tuesday, you can fly dry. On Wednesday, we got to the point where, all right, you guys go head on home. Because remember, we're a startup company at this time.
Yeah, you don't have the money.
And it was everything that Gretchen and I had that got, thank God the boys both went into the Air Force because their college money was, I was taxiing it. So everything we had. And then we had one dear friend who was an investor who started this little company called Zappos. Yeah. That worked out well, but he doubled what we had. Which how much do you have as to career? Yeah. So it's about what we spend in 2 weeks of burn right now. Yeah. Was our entire go start an Air Force. We used to always say, what would Hap do? So for Hap Arnold that started the U.S. Air Force, and they were like, what would Hap do? I don't know. So I already sent the bomb loader home and the maintainer home and the and the other pilot home, and like, well, I'll just go fly this talk on the radio. And then I get a call from Taco Gutierrez at the range wing at Luke. And he says, congrats, chef. You ready to go live? Like, well, of course I am.
Yes, hang on, I was just putting the bomb on, actually.
Yeah, I guess I got to take these bombs off again. So we didn't even have bombs built. So I had done, so I actually did my A&P mechanic training, 3 years of FAA aviation maintenance training. I got, because I always liked to be on the line and put hands on with the people. And so I actually got training in the Air Force, in the bomb or ammo zone or in the bomb dump on how to make a BDU. And so I'm like, well, I've got all this training. I'm going to make the bombs myself. Let's do this. And he's like, well, your range time is this. And your range time is your range time.
Yeah.
Period. You make your range time or you just stay home. So okay, fine. So I went outside and I set up the table and the one thing that I didn't have from training was a gauge. And the way the bomb, the little blue death, the practice bombs work is it's 25-pound bomb and it's got a tube in the front and a hole in the back. And you put the explosive charge, which isn't 1.1. It's not a Mark 82, but you wouldn't want one going off in your hand.
Yeah. No.
For real. So
It's like a flashbang.
It's like a really big flashbang.
Yeah.
Like maybe a couple flashbangs.
Okay.
So
flashbangs.
Yeah. So
3 flashbangs.
Yeah. I wouldn't want it going off of my hand. So
possibly 4
possibly
flashbangs.
4 flash. So I'm putting it in the bomb, and it's aluminum body, and I'm pushing it in. The way you do it is you put the fuse and you put the charge on, you put the safety block on the fuse, you slide that all in, everything lines up, you put the safety cotter pin in, and there's your bomb. Sounds fine. Well, the gauge you're supposed to slide down there first is to make sure there's no like little metal burrs or anything that would impede and then wedge that charge in the well before you get your fuse in. And then that would be what's called the UXO. So as luck would have it, there was one of those little burrs and the charge caught as it was going into the bomb. So it was halfway in, halfway out. I couldn't put the fuse. I've got this thing. So I'm like, oh God. And it's fired. Look at the base of it. It looks just like a shotgun shell. Just like a shotgun shell. And it's mechanically fired. So I'm like, all right, well, this needs to happen. I could tell, and I realized what happened as I'm doing it because I could push and it would kind of sort of go. You know, it wasn't stopped, but it was wedged. So I'm like, all right. So I took a broom handle, a dowling rod, and I took a hammer and I hit the top of the dowling rod, which was flat, to make an indentation in the dowling rod to further be able to push that thing just around the rim and not touch the
primer.
The primer.
Yeah.
So I put it on there, and as gingerly, like there's your wedding night, and then there's how gingerly I did this. So
and the aircraft right next to you and the fuel and everything.
Yeah.
We were just building explosives in the hangar.
We had our 300-foot distance. I did remember that. So we're pushing it, and I start pushing it very slowly, and it's going, and then it finally goes pink and seats. All right, well, might as well. So then I always say we. It was just me, but I hate saying I because this company is not about I. So so then I put the fuse in there and the pin and then did the other one. I felt around. The other one's fine. Built them both, loaded them on the jets, and bam, away we go. And I'm going as fast as I can.
You're in the strike?
No, I'm in the IAR 823.
Got it.
So
that one.
Top, that little guy.
Yeah.
So we're doing 150 knots, like all out, and I'm not there yet. But my radio waves go really fast.
Yeah.
So I check it in, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like standing on the throttle as fast as I can go. And we're getting to the range and and he's 9 line, blah, blah, blah. Call in with direction, expect clearance on final. Dude, like, do you realize that I just had an explosive hanging out of the bomb? And then I just built this. I wanted to get a little warm up going, get my mojo going. But literally, it was radio. You hit the range border, dive down to your release altitude, and boom, the bomb came off. And it was on the main airfield on JTAC. And I pulled off over the JTAC, and I'm jinking, giving him a show. And so you're the JTAC. Imagine being a JTAC. So imagine being a JTAC.
I'll try.
So
I'll try imagining JTAC right now.
Right? Yeah. So you're standing on NATO Hill, and the bomb was 10 meters from the target.
Ooh,
which was
solid.
That was like, I was like, bam, I was flying with my knees. I'm like, who wants some of this? And even better, it fell on the other side of the target.
So it looked like
it looked like it was like through the roof. So I pull off. I'm like, oh my God, I got so awesomely lucky on that one. And then
what the fuck are you using for a pipper, by the way?
So we had
an IAR doesn't have a HUD.
No, it doesn't. It's old school. So in the A-10, you actually practice HUD out bombing.
Oh,
like because if you guys need it, we're coming.
Yeah.
So we're coming. So we had calculated. I got into CWIDs and did all that stuff. All that web school stuff. Of like doing the calculations, and here you go. And from this airspeed at 0.23 and we flew ground speed instead of actually an indicated airspeed, which takes my wing component out and all that math, and boom, release. So
you didn't have any visual cue. You were just
had
math.
WASP GPS range, we had airspeed, and a lot of math.
I don't know how you're hitting a fucking target, but with no HUD, no vipper.
Chef, you turned off your targeting computer. I don't have one. That's not hard. and then the guy's like, "You're cleared immediate reattack." I'm like, "Come on, man. Bro, come on. Give me a minute here." Came right back around in, exact same hole. Bunk. The bomb went in the exact same hole. And then we did like another 18 9 lines dry because the bombs were already off. And we did another 18 9 lines so
you met a ton of training objectives for whoever was on the hill.
And like I went over and I could see the glistening of just one tear. and Matt Schleich's on the thing cheering. He's like, "I think I've got a freedom boner." Like I'm like, "Dude, you're a range freak, but thank you." So
thank you, Matt.
So that was it. And we wheeled back around. We did his 18 and it was like crack. And that was the spark. And then from there, this wasn't a thing. This was not a thing. And it was, what do you want? And we did the whole weapons school brief, the whole weapons school debrief. And it was all about you as a JTAC. And that's why on the logo, the JTAC's real big. And oh, by the way, there just happens to be an airplane in the background because it's not about the airplane.
Customer.
Yeah. It's not about the airplanes. It's about the guy on the ground and what that person needs to make them a better JTAC or JFO to go downrange, to come home safely and do the mission.
Blue Air Training.
That's it. That's what it was.
But you've got a lot more in how this thing was born and everything that you faced from business and everything like that in a new book that came out today.
Yep. Wow, what a coincidence. So actually, it is a coincidence. The
fact that you made it here today.
Yeah, well.
I mean, we just talked about this Sunday.
Yeah. The book wasn't actually supposed to come out till this coming Sunday, but the publisher and the editing, and they're like, "Yeah, this is good. Let's do this."
How do they find it? Where do they find it?
So it's on all the platforms. It's on Barnes & Noble. It's on the Amazon. It's on Kobo. It's called The Boy Who Grew Wings.
It's digital right now, right?
It's digital. The audiobook's coming out. The hardbacks and paperbacks should be out in a couple weeks.
Awesome.
But it's a business book about life. It's about perseverance and targeting your goal. Oh, there's
business stuff.
There's war stories.
Yes, there's everything.
There's life stories. There's the fight against cancer is in there.
We didn't even touch on that.
I am happy to say. So in 2018, January of 18, I was told I'd have 8 months to live because I had stage 4 prostate cancer. So anyone who has high testosterone, fighter pilots, operators, anyone that drinks Black Rifle coffee,
everybody,
like all of those kind of folks, actually have 3 times the amount of likelihood to get prostate cancer.
Wow.
So I had no family history, no anything, and I was 44 at the time, and they said, "Yeah, you got stage 4, inoperable. You got probably 8 months." So that whole story is in there of how we found it out. And it wasn't a traditional way, but it's an easy way to find out.
Wow.
But through all that, now Blue Air is doing amazing. We're expanding globally.
How big of an Air Force are you now?
So we have 30. I love this
No, you go.
I
do it
now,
how you normally do with me. We just became
there you were. So we've got 31 fighter and attack aircraft. If we were a country and we're able to be categorized, we'd be 19 in the 138 air forces of the world in the attack category. Globalfirepower.com.
Privately owned.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So how to make your own Air Force. Yeah. You get the highest arms license there is. You get government contracts. You do all this stuff.
But now to the piece of information they all have been waiting for, what are we going to do together? We're filming our own version of Top Gun movie preview.
Yes. Yes. From little acorns, mighty oaks grow.
Yes, they do.
Yes. So we've got, and what's unique about this, because, anybody can go out and just film some stuff, but to date, Blue Air Training is the only company who has ever been certified to employ live weapons.
Air to ground.
Air to ground. Well, of course not air to air, because then it'd be hard to get recruits. So air to ground, we're the first company to ever be certified and able to drop live weapons for the U.S. Air Force. So
That's amazing.
So we're actually going to be shooting this, but we're actually going to be dropping.
We're going to be doing, and you're going to have some real deal guys.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's going to be
And
mixed
it's
in
real
with
guys.
us as actors, but also real awesome pilots.
It'll be the real guys. We'll be using OV-10 Broncos.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I know. It's so awesome.
Can't wait.
I'm calling you guys. You got to jump out of the OV-10 Bronco.
I mean, we're all about to go get our licenses. So yeah, I don't see why.
Yes.
I know Richard Ryan would do it.
Nice.
We already got a guy that can jump. I'll be up there with you. Flying.
Nice.
I think we should remake Flight of the Intruder. Because do OV-10s sit side by side or vertical?
Tandem. Right. One in front of the other.
Damn it.
Yeah.
I was hoping there was
Our Strike Masters are side by sides. Our A90s are side by side.
Strike Master. See, we should do a
Strike
Flight
Masters,
of the Intruder.
A90. We could do all that. Yes.
I want to so bad.
Yeah. So we'll be putting a lot of footage that's actually flown with real airplanes, with real live weapons, with real execution to train real JTACs.
Always wanted
with real fighter pilots.
The cockpit and fuselage. Because I you know what's funny? I saw this when I probably was maybe 8 years old, and I still remember it to this day. Is we went to Universal Studios in California when I was about maybe between 6 and 8 years old.
Right.
And while we were on the tram touring ride, I saw the F-14 fuselage and cockpit that was mounted on engine cranes with nylon bands.
Yeah.
So it was just suspended.
Yeah.
So you could rock it and everything. But that was what they filmed.
So cool.
The scenes of Top Gun for Paramount. Was just in this. They had cut it right behind the back seat. It was just clean off. And then it was just suspended on these bands.
Yeah.
I want that.
Yeah. Except the only rubber bands in this one will be the one on your ponytail.
That is true.
Yeah. This will be the real deal.
If you have any spare Strike Master cockpits,
I actually do.
Because I really want to try this.
I actually do.
Because if we film this Flight of the Intruder thing, all we have to do is go in a dark hangar, run the red lights, and just have somebody able to kind of shake that thing up a bit so we get the natural movement in our gear and things like that. And that's all you need.
Yeah, totally doable. Totally doable. Yeah,
Coming soon.
We're super excited about it.
Flight of the Intruder 2021.
And it's crazy because we're a small veteran business, and we are, and our competitors are like tech strong, and we're whooping their ass. So it's not about, hey, I've got this much funding, I'm this size, and I'm this big, massive company. It's about focusing. It's veterans focusing on veterans, and that's what's built our success through the entire process. So we've got an 82% win rate on any contract we've ever bid, and we're still to this date, the only ones that have dropped live weapons for the Air Force. So,
that's so cool.
So it's awesome, and I appreciate all the veterans out there, and it's our humble honor to be able to serve the guys on the ground now that we're retired fighter pilots, with Hawaiian shirts and
hell yeah,
and loving a thing, and we're literally playing for the love of the sport.
Well, dude, we definitely we can even go down to Tampa and film some Miami Vice stuff with cool planes.
Yeah,
because we got our friends over at Tropic Ocean Airways too that has all them seaplanes. Ex-Tomcat guys, real fun people.
You know what's a gem? A gem right now is Fort Smith, Arkansas.
Really?
So we won the contract to train the entire Air National Guard's JTACs, and what they've got going on at Fort Smith is it's amazing. It's what you would. If you were going to write a script on how do I create the most phenomenal JTAC training program ever, it's at Fort Smith, Arkansas.
For the least amount of money?
Yeah. I'm trying to work on that, but yeah. No, they own the range, they own the JTACs, they've got the contract air, they've got Broncos, they've got IARs, so they're now, they even said that what they've been able to accomplish now is even better than when they had their own A-10 squadron there.
That's so cool.
So everything. They've got live artillery coming from the Army Guard. So it's everything. And that's been our concept is anything you could imagine that would make the most amazing training venue. We've got a KOC. We've got live video downlink.
It's going to be
Link
fun.
16s. It's going to be phenomenal at what they're doing there.
Well, awesome. Okay. So if you want to learn more about all this in detail, get better, even more war stories and stuff about business and things like that, The Boy Who Grew Wings.
Thank you.
Available on all platforms. Yes, thanks for coming out. We'll do a follow-up article on freerangeamerican.us so we can talk about some of the other upcoming things we're doing and look forward to the production of Top Gun. What are we going to call that? It's got to be something funny.
It's going to be something awesome.
Yeah. We need to come up with that.
It's premature to even throw some nuggets out there.
The blue gun.
Yeah.
Because it is training. That's kind of funny.
Yeah. And for everybody, the red air is the bad guys in training and the blue air is the good guys in training. And that's why the company is Blue Air.
The blue gun.
Yeah.
You're painted like a BDU 33 right now.
Boom. There you go.
Awesome. Thanks for coming out, Chef.
Right, brother.
Take care.
Thank you.